Hello, Twitch! My name is Pixley, and for the next hour, I will be commentating you. That's right, you're listening to Pixley Commentates Twitch, the hour-long companion stream to Twitch Plays Pokemon Arena, in which I give live commentary for the matches every Tuesday at 2 PM UTC. Alrighty, picking for the first battle has begun. First pick for the blue team is Arcanine, which I should probably get Stadium Stats ready. Stadium Stats being the software I use to check the stats of the Pokemon in the matches. Second pick for the blue team is Articuno. So, 2 A's, but it seems like that third pick will be Raticate based upon that silhouette. Often I'm pretty bad at that, but I'm confident that it's definitely Raticate. So there we go, Arcanine, Articuno, and Raticate for the blue team. Alrighty, picking has begun for the red team. First pick for the red team is Chikorita. If I could spell that correctly. For those of you listening who wish to communicate with me, you are more than welcome to talk to me in the Twitch chat. I am watching that. It's just, type at Pixley so I see it. Mixlr chat is a lot more difficult for me to see. Second pick for the red team is Pidgeot, followed by Sandslash. I am not a fast typist. Alrighty. So there we go, Arcanine, Articuno, Raticate versus Chikorita, Pidgeot, and Sandslash. Alrighty, let's take a look at the stats. Well, first off, obvious that Chikorita has a severe type disadvantage to the blue team. And Pidgeot is weak to Articuno's Blizzard. Sandslash, however, does have the advantage over Arcanine with Earthquake. Other than that, oh, Pidgeot does have Steel Wing though, which could prove to be useful, especially since Articuno's defense is lower than its special defense. And Pidgeot has fairly respectable attack. Obviously not as good as the stats on a legendary, but still pretty good. Let's see. What's there to watch out for? Yeah, it seems like the red team is fairly bulky on the physical side, which doesn't do it much help except against Raticate, because Blizzard and Flame Wheel are both special. Special defense for the red team is okay, it's not great, especially Sandslash with only 164. Let's see, moves I need to be watching out for. Not really. I mean, other than Super Fang, of course, being able to cause all sorts of shenanigans. So alrighty, here we go. The match is beginning. And first up is Articuno versus Sandslash, which actually a pretty poor matchup for both of them. Articuno would have the advantage given that its most powerful move is Stab and does indeed hit Sandslash. So, and here's that Blizzard. Oh! I forgot Ice was super effective against ground. I really need to remember that better. Alrighty, so down goes Sandslash. One hit. So, Blue has taken an early lead, and unfortunately, Pidgeot is right behind Sandslash. Fortunately for Pidgeot, it does have higher special defense, although not by a whole lot. Here comes the Steel Wing. That should prove to be quite effective. Or not. It didn't even do 100 damage. Man, Articuno, you bulky. Then again, there was also the lack of stab. Fortunately, Pidgeot did manage to dodge that Blizzard. Alright, well that blizzard's not going to do anything with this fly, so... Things are definitely still not looking Red's way, though. Here comes the fly. How much damage is that going to do? Not a lot. Still not able to hit Articuno for 100. Here comes the blizzard. That one does hit. And Pidgeot is brought down in one strike. Oof. This is definitely not looking good for the red team. However, Articuno does only have one blizzard left, which means if it does miss Chikorita, then we'll have to find other methods. Unfortunately for Chikorita, Peck is a very effective move on it. Well, by very effective, I mean super effective, of course. Here comes the final blizzard. And it does indeed hit. Will that bring Chikorita down? Yes, it does! Holy crap! That was a fast match. And the battle ends with Articuno taking barely any damage and killing, well, knocking out the entire red team in one hit each. Wow. I believe this is the first time we've seen such a quick match on Pixley Commentates Twitch. I mean, obviously it happens every so often, but not while I'm recording. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Pixley Commentates Twitch, the unofficial companion stream to Twitch Plays Pokemon Arena, in which I give live commentary for the matches for an hour. Generally ends up being about 5 matches. So I go leaderboard to leaderboard. So, yeah. Pixley Commentates Twitch airs at 2 PM UTC every Tuesday. I am, of course, Pixley, because who else would be commentating Twitch in a broadcast called Pixley Commentates Twitch? Let's see, who's that? Alrighty, 20 seconds to the next match. I can't believe I forgot that ground was weak to ice. Like, that one's more, like, one of the sensible ones. Like, I can understand if you forget, like, fighting's not good against bug, because like, you have to really think about that, but damn. That was definitely really good order for the blue team. Alrighty, interface is fading away. And picking for the next match begins. Alrighty, let's see, let's get stadium stats ready. So, picking has begun for the blue team. First pick for the blue team will be somewhat down the list, it seems. Ah, Magikarp. First pick for the blue team is Magikarp. That is a shame. However, second pick for the blue team is Nidoking, which is definitely a far better Pokemon. Maybe I'll finally get to commentate a Horn Drill, or some other OHKO move. I have yet to do so. There has not been a Horn Drill or Guillotine successful on any transmission of Pixley Commentates Twitch. So, I would like to see that. Oh, and final pick for the blue team is Weezing, which has self-destruct, and people in the chat are calling for Kapow. First pick for the red team is Exeggutor, which, well, would have a type advantage over Magikarp if it even had a grass move, but its psychic typing will certainly prove useful against Nidoking and Weezing. Second pick for the red team is Machop, which would seem it would do very little unless it can get off some earthquakes, which is certainly possible. And final pick for the red team is Tentacool, which has the advantage over Nidoking. Alrighty, let me get those typed in real quick. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Drop and Tentacool. I really wish I had an automated way of doing this, but I do not. Alrighty, so advantages other than the ones I've listed thus far. Not really. I mean, it seems like blue is at the type disadvantage here. But let's take a look at the stats. Special defense on the part of the blue team is okay. It's not great. Exeggutor's special attack is definitely noteworthy, almost 300, which the special defenses of Nidoking and Weezing are not close to that. Fun fact, actually, Nidoking's in... Oh no, those are their special attacks. I was meant to be looking at their special defense. Well, fun fact, Nidoking and Weezing have the same special attack at 224. Anyway, Tentacool, of course, having pretty poor special attack, because it is a pretty poor Pokemon. Machop, however, does have fairly good physical attack, which will prove useful against Nidoking. Not so much Weezing, because Weezing has very high physical defense, which means it's probably going to be Exeggutor that will need to take it out. It is worth noting that Nidoking and Weezing both have a type advantage move over Tentacool in the forms of Thunder and Zap Cannon. Of course, Zap Cannon far less reliable than Thunder, but certainly worth considering. And, as usual, Horn Drill, definitely a possibility. If Nidoking were to get that off on Exeggutor, that would prove very, very beneficial to the blue team. So let's see. Alright, here we go. The match is going. And the odds do seem to be stacked towards the red team right now. However, Exeggutor is in the final spot, which means Machop has to deal with Nidoking. Hopefully, red team can pivot onto Earthquake before Nidoking is able to do any serious damage. Which that Mud Slap is not going to help, because that will lower accuracy, but fortunately it doesn't do a lot of damage. Well, fortunately for the red team. Of course, as a commentary, I must remain unbiased. Here's a Seismic Toss. That's going to do a decent amount of damage. 100 damage, in fact, as Seismic Toss always does. Seems like red team does now have... seems to have now pivoted onto Earthquake. Here comes the Horn Attack, which, again, doesn't do a whole lot. Which is a little surprising, considering Machop's physical defense is not great. Here's the Earthquake. I love it. That was a neat little pose. And Nidoking almost goes down. Which means one more hit should do it. But Nidoking may get off the Horn Drill. Does it hit? No. No Horn Drill hit. Alright. Machop uses another Earthquake. But it misses. That Mud Slap, like I said, proved to be quite an annoyance. Another Horn Drill. Does this one hit? No. No hit. Alrighty. Can Machop finish it off? Yes. Nidoking goes down. Red takes the lead. 1-0. Alrighty. Second Pokemon for the blue team is Magikarp, which I don't see doing a whole lot against Machop. Seems like red team is going to take the advantage to get some double team action on, which is pretty smart considering Magikarp is not going to do a whole lot. And there's the double team. Definitely some Smogon disapproved stats here. And that's unapproved, disapproved, whatever. Actually, disapproved totally isn't a word. Smogon unapproved strats here. Here's another double team. Well, I think this will be a very slow second bout, as red team uses a bunch of double teams. I mean, Magikarp is managing to hit. I find it rather odd, though, because I commentated another match. I think it was the first PTC, or PCT rather, which was 2 weeks ago. I had a Magikarp breaking through double team shenanigans. Rather strange. Speaking of double team, there's another one. And there's Tackle. Magikarp's still hitting, though. I don't understand this. I mean, you know, freaking Sydney's Shift Tree would be impossible to hit at this point, but this fucking Magikarp, man. It's just... Oh, finally it misses. Here's another double team. I would think that by now, red team would be content to swap back to an attacking move. At least that'd be nice. Saying the words double team over and over again isn't helpful. There's a miss on that tackle. Here's the Earthquake, which that was actually like a low percentage Earthquake there. Magikarp takes pretty bad damage, actually, which is a little surprising. Magikarp does actually have decent physical defense, like its only decent stat. Here's the Cross Chop. What will that do? Almost bring it down, in fact. So, there we go. Red team seems to be split on what to do. Magikarp using a very tactical flail here, but it misses. Here's the Seismic Toss, and that will finish off Magikarp. Red team now 2-0. Which means all blue team's hope rests on the Weezing. And red team is frantically pivoting onto Earthquake to use the type advantage, but again, it is worth noting that Weezing has very high physical defense, which will make bringing it down a bit of a chore. Weezing leads with Zap Cannon, which that is not going to hit. I mean, it would have been pretty funny if it had, but yeah. It actually did pretty good damage, like over 100. Here comes the Sludge from Weezing, though. How much will that do? Nothing. That tactical double team really benefiting the red team. Ah, but Machop missed. Oh, right! That Mud Slap's accuracy lowering is still in effect. Of course, it's not impossible. I totally lost my train of thought there. Of course, it's not nearly as effective as all those double teams. Weezing now is brought down to 38 health. One would think that if Weezing manages to get off this final hit, it'll finally bring Machop down, but no, it does not. And here comes the Earthquake. Assuming this hits, Weezing is indeed brought down. Machop sweeping there. Red team winning 3-0. So yeah, didn't even need Exeggutor or Tentacool. That's quite an impressive show by the red team. Of course, the presence of Magikarp certainly did not help. That was definitely a disadvantage to the blue team. Alright, so if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Pixley Commentates Twitch, the live commentary unofficial companion stream to Twitch Plays Pokemon Arena, in which I give live commentary for the Twitch Plays Pokemon Arena matches. Currently, Stadium 2, of course. PBR should be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm thinking when streamer puts PBR on, like as soon as it comes on, I'm going to do like a extra bonus Pixley Commentates Twitch stream, just as a little bit of a celebration. I think that'd be fun. So, yeah. 30 seconds until the next match, and I need to get Stadium Stats ready. Stadium Stats, of course, being the software I use to check the stats of the Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 2, because I'm terrible at remembering stats. Other than, like, really obvious things, so I wrote a little program to do that. You can find it at github.com/pixley/stadiumstats. The two S's there capitalized. Alrighty. Interface going away, which means picking shall begin for the next match. Any second now. There we go. Alrighty. Ooh. That could prove very annoying for it. Anyway, so, picking has begun for the blue team. But what will this first pick be? Kind of looks like Oddish. Is that Oddish? It is indeed Oddish. First pick for the red team. For the blue team is Oddish. Oddish having a very good moveset, I think. As I've said, and will always say, in Stadium 2, it seems like the quality of the Pokemon is inversely proportional to the quality of its moveset. Speaking of a quality moveset, second pick for the blue team is Togepi. Togepi, of course, having Metronome, which is always fun to experience. I mean, Prince Omelette, of course, back in Crystal, gaining much fame for its use of Metronome. And final pick for the blue team is Vulpix, which I don't think I've commented. Oh crap, I misspelled Vulpix. Alrighty, first pick for the red team is Hitmonlee, followed by Lord Dome himself, Kabuto. Kabuto. I got in an argument with my brother recently. I mean, unfortunately, Japanese emphasis is pitch-based instead of stress-based, which means there's really no exact way to say that. And then, finally, for the red team is Slowking. Alright, let me get these all typed in. And then we will analyze the type advantages and other such thing. Alrighty, so, type advantages. Oddish does have the type advantage over Kabuto, although Kabuto does have Blizzard. But Slowking has the advantage over... Well, actually, Oddish and Slowking kind of trade back and forth, except Slowking does have very high special defense, which means it'll probably resist a Giga Drain much better than Oddish can resist a Psychic. Psychic being, of course, very, very powerful. Slowking also being effective against Vulpix. And then Hitmonlee having high jump kick, which will allow it to take care of Togepi. I mean, so it seems like Red does have the type advantage. Let's see, Togepi's special physical defense is 219, which is pretty good. Togepi being much more defensive than offensive. So, it should be able to do some resistance to Hitmonlee's high jump kick, although Hitmonlee does have 300 attack, which is, of course, very, very good. Let's see, Oddish's special defense is okay-ish. Kabuto's special defense is actually pretty poor, which means if Oddish does get off a Giga Drain on it, that may prove to be fatal. As for Slowking, of course, its special attack is high, its special defense is high. I mean, if it gets up against Togepi, Togepi has really poor physical attack. I don't know. I mean, it seems like Red Team has the advantage all the way around. Which is a shame. I do very much enjoy close matches. Or at least matches with OHKO moves. Which those horn drills did indeed not hit last match. Which is a little disappointing, I think. I like seeing that. And no, Articuno's one-hit wonder blizzards in the first match don't count. Alrighty, so first up is Togepi versus Slowking, which do in fact, well, Slowking takes that like a champion. Oh, but Slowking does flinch. So, and Togepi gets off a sweet kiss, which should serve to confuse Slowking. And it does hurt itself in this confusion. Man, the RNG does not like Slowking right now. That is, most irritating, I would think. Oh, but Togepi wastes another sweet kiss. Oh, and Slowking comes right out of its confusion and uses Psychic, bringing Togepi down to almost half health. That is unfortunate for the blue team. Not to be deterred, though, blue team uses Attract, some other form of disabling hacks, and it is indeed disabled. Man, RNG, just not cooperating. Ah, but Slowking does get off this Psychic, which will bring Togepi down to very low health. 25, to be precise. Alrighty. Togepi going for another Headbutt now. Doing, again, very little. Ah, but Slowking is again immobilized by Love. Which... Oh! Togepi using Metronome and getting a Rock Slide, which is not going to do a whole lot to Slowking, even with that crit. Ah, and Slowking finally gets off its Psychic, and Togepi shall go down. Red team taking the lead, 1-0. Now, will Red team pivot quickly enough onto Water Gun to take on Vulpix, which is the next Pokemon in the lineup for the blue team? It doesn't seem like it. No, I don't think they're gonna make it. No. Oh, just in time, maybe. We'll see. Here comes Confuse Ray. Blue team really liking its confusion moves. And it hurt itself in its confusion, which means we will never know whether Water Gun or Psychic was selected. Alrighty. Vulpix wasting a Confuse Ray now. Will we get a repeat of last time and Slowking snapping out of it? No, Slowking does not snap out of it. And again, hurts itself. This could prove very much problematic for the red team, considering they very much need Slowking to take on Vulpix. Oh, and Vulpix uses a very tactical Sunny Day, which will bring down the power of Water Gun, which is the move Slowking chooses now. But that, again, that's not going to do a whole lot because of the Sunny Day. Blue team really putting up a really good fight here. And with the boost of the sunlight, Vulpix now goes for Flamethrower, which brings Slowking down to 15 health. It would seem as though Slowking will go down without taking Vulpix with it. That Sunny Day is certainly making a huge difference. And Slowking goes down to a Flamethrower. However, Vulpix is not out of the fire yet. It does have to deal with Kabuto with its rollout. Because Vulpix does have Dig, which makes rollout somewhat ineffectual. Actually, yeah. That is certainly going to prove to be quite disadvantageous for the red team. Seems like red got pretty bad order in this case. Alrighty. Here's the dig from Vulpix. Will Lord Dome take it? Pretty well, actually. Does help that Lord Dome's defense is pretty high and Vulpix doesn't have great physical attack. Oh, Vulpix taking very good damage from just a first stage rollout, which means Kabuto should take out Vulpix after this next dig. Of course, rollout isn't completely reliable, which means it could miss this next turn. But we'll have to see. And here comes the dig. Kabuto brought down just below half health. Here comes the rollout. If this hits, Vulpix will go down. And it does. Red team now 2 to 1. There we go. Alrighty, and the final Pokemon for the blue team is Oddish, which certainly has a severe advantage over Kabuto, but doesn't really have the same to say against Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee's high jump kit could prove to be very problematic. Kabuto, of course, going for another rollout because it's locked into that now and actually doing pretty good damage to Oddish. But here comes the Giga Drain, which means Kabuto will go down, and Oddish will restore much of that health it just lost. There we go. So, now, it's all tied up at 2. And final point 1 for the red team is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee, unfortunately for the blue team, has very high special defense, which means Giga Drain won't be doing a lot. Oh, and that Mega Kick is just brutal. Oddish is going to respond with a Sludge Bomb, which isn't going to do a lot. It would seem as though red team now has this in the bag with the success of this next attack. Hitmonlee now using High Jump Kick, and it hits. Crits, but isn't very effective, but it is enough to bring Oddish down. Red team wins 3-2. So yeah, that was a lot closer than it would have seemed to have been. Order, of course, mattering a lot in these battles. For those of you that just tuning in, you are listening to Pixley Commentates Twitch, the unofficial companion stream to Twitch Plays Pokemon Arena, in which I give live commentary for the Stadium 2 matches every Tuesday at 2 PM UTC, which serves, well, not exactly 2 PM UTC. It starts at the end of the leaderboards following 2 PM UTC, so as to, not get interrupted by the leaderboards. So yeah, that was a pretty good battle, I think. Togepi putting up a lot more of a fight, and then Vulpix with that tactical Sunny Day. Very, very interesting. I always liked weather effects. I thought that was really nice. It's probably why I loved Ruby and Sapphire so much, because Kyogre and Groudon with Drizzle and Drought. And of course, Mega Charizard Y now has Drought, but I don't know. No other Pokemon got Drizzle as far as I know, which is a shame. Drizzle's amazing. Maybe it's just because I'm more of a fan of the Water type than I am the Fire type, which is ironic considering 2 of my favorite Pokemon are Fire type. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Alrighty. And then we're beginning this next match. We have just under half an hour left in the broadcast, which should be enough for 2 or 3 more matches. It really depends on how... Actually, probably just 2, because of how the leaderboard will fall. Alrighty. Oh, is that who I think it is? Is the first pick for the blue team who I think it is? Oh, it is! It is Dunsparce! I actually embarrassed myself in my first broadcast by bad-mouthing Dunsparce. But Dunsparce has actually proved in that match to be quite an effective Pokemon. It's pretty wally, as it turns out. This is one of the reasons I wrote Stadium Stats, to prevent things like that from occurring again. The second pick for the blue team is Phanpy. I always have trouble pronouncing that. Phanpy. And third pick is Wobbuffet. Oh, this is actually a very interesting team. And if that blue team composition is what I think it is, I think Wobbuffet may do quite a bit of work here. First pick for the right team is Azumarill, having a Waterfall and Icy Wind, which Waterfall, of course, only being effective against Phanpy. Second pick for the blue team is Dewgong, which, again, Waterfall against Phanpy, or Aurora Beam. I always thought Aurora Beam was neat. Makes a really cool sound in Stadium. Oh, and third pick is Krabby. This composition is exactly what I thought it was. And it is all water, which means Mirror Coat could prove to be very, very effective. However, Krabby cannot be counted out, though, because it does have Guillotine, which could prove to be influential. Alrighty, so let's take a look at these stats. Alrighty. Oh. So, red team is actually quite physically defensive. Dewgong only having, like, fairly good physical defense as opposed to, well, I mean, Azumarill and Dewgong both have pretty good, and then Krabby has really good physical defense. Special defense for the blue team is not great, with the exception of Dunsparce, which is kind of just okay-ish. Wobbuffet, of course, relying more on its high HP than its defense or special defense, which makes sense. I mean, you want counter Mirror Coat to do some amount of damage, that way that can be reflected. But yeah, I mean, Azumarill and Dewgong don't have physical attack moves, and I mean, Krabby has strength, and then of course Guillotine. So Wobbuffet could prove very problematic. It should also be noted that Phanpy has Double Team and Swagger, which of course will be very irritating for the red team if those manage to go off. Dunsparce also having the Paralyzing Glare, so that's always something I worry about. I don't know. I mean, if Wobbuffet can pull it off, blue team may have an easy victory. But, I mean, red team is full of pretty strong Pokemon. And also has Guillotine. We'll just have to see the match starting very shortly now. And here we go. Already? Already. So, order. Krabby against Wobbuffet. Holy crap, this is great. Great order for both teams, actually. Will red team switch over to Guillotine fast enough, though? That is to be wondered. It's doubtful at this point. Krabby using Crab Hammer, which means it will get hit with Mirror Coat, unless the 8% counter has anything to say about it. Red team now pivoting onto Guillotine. Fortunately, Krabby didn't do all that much damage with Crab Hammer, which means it will survive the Mirror Coat. But it seems like it does need to use Guillotine. Oh. There's another Crab Hammer, which means if it's Mirror Coat instead of Destiny Bond. Oh, but it is Destiny Bond. So Krabby will get another chance, which means if this Guillotine hits, Krabby will also go down. But it will have done so. Finally! Finally! I got to see a Guillotine while commentating. And Wobbuffet is brought down, and Krabby makes a very noble sacrifice on the part of the red team. I would go so far as to say that this could prove very fatal for the blue team, considering Wobbuffet was certainly its most effective Pokemon, especially against this all-water team. Alrighty, so second up for both teams are Dunsparce and Azumarill. Azumarill being pretty tanky, which means Dunsparce is not going to do a whole lot to it. And Dunsparce's special defense is, well, good enough to take that. But I think that's because Azumarill's special attack is not very good. So, we'll just have to see. Here comes another waterfall. And then Dunsparce is brought down, not quite to close to half health, that is. Dunsparce now using Dig, which is likely not going to do a whole lot to Azumarill. It should be noted, though, that Dunsparce does have pretty decent physical attack. And there's an ineffectual waterfall. Here comes the Dig. How much damage will that do? A pitiful amount. Absolutely pitiful. See, this is what I get for saying good things about Dunsparce. And Azumarill now using a very tactical Rain Dance, which will boost the waterfalls of both it and its successor, should it go down. But that's very likely, although that strength does do a bit more than that Dig did. Well, this next waterfall should prove to be quite powerful. Not enough to bring Dunsparce down, I don't think, but certainly quite effective. Yeah, that should be one more, I think. Meanwhile, Dunsparce uses another strength, which should bring Azumarill down below half health, and it does. And the rain keeps falling. Down, down, and there's the waterfall. And Dunsparce is brought down. Red team now in the lead, 2-1. And last up for the blue team would be Phanpy, which is at a pretty significant disadvantage against Azumarill, given its weakness to water and its very poor special defense. It would seem as though Red team does have this in the bag. Oh, but Azumarill instead decides to use Icy Wind, which is not going to do a lot other than lower its speed, which really isn't going to do a lot much. Phanpy is going to respond with Earthquake, which brings Azumarill down low, but doesn't bring it down. Here comes the waterfall, and that should end the game. And it does. Red team wins 3-1. I'm so happy. I got to see it commentate a guillotine. I don't even have any canned lines for it. Because, I mean, obviously I was going to say, like, Grand Slam or that was brutal or something like that. Because, you know, that's just plagiarism. But I'm pleased. I'm very much pleased. And that guillotine hit really did make the difference for the red team. The RNG giving the red team a break after its abuse last game. So, oh, yes, we are indeed dodging leaderboard. So, you'll get one more match from me. Which actually will still prove to be rather short. That leaderboard, the leaderboard, well, then the 2 PM leaderboard coming in very late. So, there are 18 minutes left allocated to me, but, you know, the leaderboard's the leaderboard, and that's, I lost my train of thought, because I was trying to figure out what Team Galactic Boss Cyrus was saying. Anyway, the leaderboard has been dodged for now, and we will get one more match. And that one more match will be starting in just a few seconds here. Well, the picking for it, obviously. Gotta pick before you have the match. You can't just go into a battle with no Pokemon. That's ridiculous. It's like walking into tall grass with no Pokemon. You can't do that. Alrighty, now picking has begun. Oh, I know who that first pick for the blue team is. And I'm very happy about that. First pick for the blue team will be Electrode, which was my favorite Pokemon back in Gen 1. Supplanted by Typhlosion because Typhlosion's awesome, but I always like that smirk that Electrode has, and that's really fast and has high special attack, which is what I like from a Pokemon. Second pick for the blue team is Sandslash. We just saw Sandslash in an earlier match. Didn't get to do... Did it even come out in that match? I don't think it did. Anyway, final pick for the blue team is Victreebel. Rounding out a very diverse type set here. Unfortunately, there was no sunny day to make that Solar Beam hit in one turn. Alrighty. And now we have picking for the red team. It would seem as though... Yes, indeed, the first pick for the red team... Pardon me. First pick for the red team is Porygon 2, followed by Pupitar. I don't think I've commentated a match with Pupitar in it. So yeah, Pupitar, which will definitely have an advantage over Electrode, and having an advantage over Sandslash, but having a disadvantage against Electrode is Wartortle. So there we go. So what do we have here? I don't see Porygon 2 doing a whole lot of work here, because Zap Cannon being its most powerful move, especially with Porygon 2's very high special attack, is not going to do anything against Sandslash, and it's going to do very little against the other two members of the blue team. Pupitar and Wartortle both having Dig, which will prove advantageous over Electrode, and Wartortle has Waterfall, which is good against Sandslash. I mean, Victreebel's special defense is the weakest of its stats, so Icy Wind could prove to do something against it. I mean, especially since Victreebel will need 2 turns to do Solar Beam, which means that's 2 Icy Winds. Well, actually, no, it's only 1 technically, because Victreebel is faster than Wartortle. So, yeah. And Electrode has a severe speed advantage, but isn't going to be able to do really anything against Pupitar, which is worth noting. Porygon 2's special defense is pretty good, which means it should be able to resist Electrode's Thunder. So yeah, stat-wise, things seem pretty even other than Electrode's very high speed at 334. But type-wise, it seems like the blue team is going to have the advantage. And here starts the match. Of course, as always, order is everything, and Electrode will start out against Porygon 2. So this should be a very slow first skirmish. Considering... So, let's see. Electrode does have good defense, which means even Swiftle won't do a whole lot. Porygon 2's attack is good, but not great. And Thunder did quite a bit. Here's Zap Cannon. Will that even hit? It does hit, and Electrode is paralyzed, which does not bring its... Oh, actually it does. Wait, I thought it had the speed. Does paralysis make it less than half? Because half of 334 should be 167, and Porygon 2's speed is 166, which means either I typed something in wrong or I missed that. But that paralysis is going to prove quite annoying for Electrode. Well, get off this Thunder, it does indeed, bringing Porygon 2, excuse me, down to 61 health. But Electrode will be brought down by the next attack, it would seem, because Swift, of course, is going to hit. And down goes Electrode. What a shame. Which means Wartortle has one thing out of its way. Of course, it is very likely that Victreebel will be able to take down Porygon 2, which will then prove very problematic for Wartortle. Alrighty, moves have been selected. Victreebel is charging up its Solar Beam, which means Porygon 2 does have a turn to act, and it will choose to use Swift. Will that do a lot? Not a lot. Not a great amount, but not a lot. Alrighty, moves have been chosen once more. Well, a move has been chosen. Meanwhile, Victreebel uses Solar Beam, hitting and bringing down Porygon 2, which brings the score back to a tie at 1 apiece. Next up for the blue team is Wartortle, which is going to be very weak to that Solar Beam. I mean, obviously Wartortle has pretty good special defense just because that's how the Squirtle line rolls. If it's able to get off a Dig this turn, that'll prove most advantageous. Actually, will Icy Wind... Icy Wind would bring Victreebel's speed below Wartortle's, which means if the red team can pivot onto Dig quickly enough, that should bring Wartortle out of line of fire. And it does! Wartortle will not be hit by the Solar Beam. That Icy Wind was definitely very much a tactical one. Alrighty, and here's the Dig attack. How much damage will that do? A very poor amount, actually. Victreebel's physical defense not being great. Wartortle's not either, but I guess, you know, Stab does have something to do with it. Wartortle is now going to use Waterfall, which means it will be hit by this next Solar Beam. And Victreebel does, because Victreebel does survive it. I mean, that would be pretty bad if Victreebel hadn't survived. And Wartortle goes down in one hit. Which means Pupitar is now up against this Victreebel. Fortunately for Pupitar, it should be able to get off. It should be able to get off a move. And bring down Victreebel with that speed lowering. There's the Rock Slide. Actually, is that going to do enough? Yes, it will do enough. And Victreebel is finally brought down, tying up the score again at 2 apiece. And the final Pokemon for the blue team is Sandslash, which does have Earthquake, which is super effective against Pupitar. Sandslash's physical attack being higher than Victreebel's special attack, which means Earthquake will do a significant amount because Pupitar's defense and special defense are the same. Ooh. Oh! Brought down in one hit! And that brings this match to a close. Red team winning 3-2. So yeah, the typing was just not there for the red team. Had it not been Victreebel up against Wartortle, the red team might have had a better chance, but no such luck for them. No payout. Yeah, that waterfall certainly helped. Alrighty, well, that's all for me, because up next is the leaderboard. And I'm not going to talk through the leaderboard. You have been listening to Pixley Commentates Twitch, the unofficial companion stream to Twitch Plays Pokemon, in which I give live commentary for Stadium 2 matches every Tuesday after the leaderboard following 2 PM UTC, or as it is for me, 9 AM CDT. I've been Pixley, you've been Twitch, and have a good day, evening, morning. Oh, I'm sorry, Danky Bong. I'm sorry, but yes, thank you for listening. Have a good day.